And now a section on clustering. Wait, clustering? What did I sign up for? I know that sounds a little bit obscure, but when people think about the word trend, it gets misused in so many different ways. We talk about what's trending on Twitter, we talk about the mega trends in the world. There's a true art to finding overlooked opportunity. Specifically, the ideas that have a lifespan you could build a company, a product set off of, and what you're going to learn how to do is take little examples you're seeing from multiple parts of the world and cluster them into something meaningful that you can actually turn into real value. So let's dive into clustering. The first concept that we're going to dive into would be the 4 different levels of opportunity. In the most basic way of looking for inspiration, you can look for an idea. An example might be seeing a caffeinated beverage a decade or 2 ago. The next level up is to find a cluster, when you can find a group of several ideas. If you saw caffeinated beverages, caffeinated potato chips, caffeinated gum, you might come up with a cluster about alternative caffeination, or a shortness of time, a need to be awake, anti-coffee. The next level up would be megatrends, things like social media, the rise of China, biotech, or eco. And then at the top of the food chain, we have the patterns of change. Interestingly, as you move to the right, you'll note that everything gets bigger. The size, impact, longevity of a given trend or pattern becomes larger and more substantial. But where it becomes really fascinating is that when you're looking for an opportunity, you actually have to zero in very specifically, and here's what I mean. Ideas and getting inspiration from a simple idea, well, that's something too small to inspire your next level. A single idea could just be something fleeting. Megatrends and patterns, on the other end, are too big. They're impactful drivers of what it is we're looking for, but they become too broad when it becomes important to you to specifically innovate and come up with a product or service. The sweet spot, the magic, all the work is about trying to find clusters of opportunity. Some people might term these consumer insights or overlooked opportunities, but we're going to use the word clusters today, and we're going to walk through how you would actually find them and why they're so important. My favorite exercise that I like to do to illustrate this is to get groups to sample designing a hip hotel. And I've done this exercise in hundreds of different groups, and I like it because we've all been to a hotel. So imagine doing a little workshop with your team. Your first task is you ask them to design a hip hotel. Give them 5 minutes. And when they come back, you'll hear people come up with all sorts of ideas. They'll say, oh, our hotel, it's on a beach and it has eco and it's got this stuff and it's projected and it's digital, and they'll be all over the map. And the next step would be to see what happens if you try to design a hotel using trend-based innovation. But which level of trends? If you were to use mega trends, you'll find it doesn't really help you to come up with a more distinct idea. A social media hotel, okay. A hotel in China, all right. An eco hotel, sounds like something everybody else is doing. So the mega trends become too large to be actionable because all of your competitors know about them. It doesn't mean you would dismiss a mega trend, but it means when you're really looking for that breakthrough idea, the mega trend is not enough. On the other end of the spectrum, let's look at what would happen if you looked at a single idea that you found inspirational. You looked at all the hotel competitors, and as an example, you found underwater hotels. Cool. Go make a hotel. Well, your team's going to come up with an underwater hotel or something similar like a hotel in a forest. So a single example is not enough. And what if that underwater hotel is something that fails or is fleeting? So let's look at what would happen if we went through a process of finding clusters of what might be working in hotels and tourism. The first step in finding a cluster is to hunt for inspiration within your own market. So in the world of hotels, there are prison hotels, coffin hotels, luxury blimp hotels. There's an extreme hotel in South Africa where they'll coordinate your extreme adventures, and the outside of the hotel is actually a rock climbing wall. There's a little slum inn in Rio. There's a pipe hotel, the underwater hotel, of course. There's a portable hotel that was last seen perched on a building overlooking the Eiffel Tower. A dockside crane converted to a hotel. A celebrity bed and breakfast. A cave hotel. And in Hong Kong, a Rolls-Royce hotel with a couple dozen Rolls-Royces so you can cruise around in style while you're there. That's step one, taking a look at the ideas within your marketplace. Step two is we try to move a little bit over and look to an adjacent industry. In the world of hotels, that might mean looking at something like hotel services, hospitality, restaurants, something related. So here are some examples of inspiring hotel services that I found on Trend Hunter. There's in-room massage, graffiti architecture, where each room has a different graffiti artist creating the room. There's separately artist-designed rooms with completely different art concepts in each room. There's pre-cooked meals. I was at a ski lodge where at the end of the ski day, you're not sure if you want to go out or stay in, but they've got a professional meal ready there for you. Professionally run sleepover parties, glowing bathtubs, pet spas. Think about how difficult your little doggy's day is. In-room chefs, rain sky showers, wine spas, beer spas, and bubble architecture. So now we've looked in our industry, and step two, we've looked at an adjacent industry. In step three, you would look at other inspiring things that your target demographic is interested in. For example, let's pretend we did this looking for millennial interests, a hotel for millennials. We might look at other things that were getting a lot of traffic and attention. On Trend Hunter, we saw a museum in Amsterdam that wanted to attract a younger demographic to the gallery, so they put a skateboard park inside the museum. There are luxury handbag companies you've heard of, or luxury dresses where you maybe exchange your dress on a given weekend. There's also luxury car timeshares. You pay the lease price of a BMW 5 Series, but you get a BMW 3 Series for 25 days of the month. And then for 4 days of the month, you get a Ferrari, and for one magical day of the month, you get a Lamborghini. There are vending machines that give you a free pop beverage or snack if you watch a commercial, and version 2.0 of that would be getting a free beverage or snack if you actually use the hashtag of the ad campaign. There are dog helmets, urinals for dogs, and I don't know about you, but that little guy looks happy, but I don't think he's hitting the urinal. I know my little puppy wouldn't do a good job of that. There's New York City garbage as art. An actual artist in New York City will capture garbage from the streets and mail it to you directly to your home. And talk to me later. I'll get you some garbage from Toronto. There's an Orthodox Jewish Barbie, a Muslim Barbie, and Barbie cosmetics. Now, step 1, 2, 3, we've looked in our industry, we've looked adjacent, and we've looked at other ideas that our target demographic found interesting. Put them all up in one place, and step 4 is to look for groups of meaningful clusters. In this set of examples, we might jump to seeing ultra luxury, certainly several examples lined up to that, and sensationalism. But here's the catch. The catch is that the human mind is great at recognizing patterns by creating shortcuts, and that's bad. And if you watch the earlier lessons on the ability to change, you'll recognize the 7 different traps that hold us to the current path that we're on, which block us from seeing new ideas. And in this case, if we go back and look at ultra luxury and sensationalism, well, those might be the mega trends or patterns that you might have already told me exist in the world of hotels before we even did this exercise. So in a time period of chaos and change, the important step is to take those first groups and clusters and throw them away. You already knew those, so you need to look harder. And you go back to the same series of examples and you force yourself to look for different patterns that might jump out. From the exact same examples of hotels, you might have also noticed in-room luxury, nostalgia co-branding, the humanization of pets, viral youth targeting, get the rebellious kids and the parents will follow, or renting cultural experience. The next step in a workshop is that after you've already designed the one hotel, you throw it away, and now you get your groups to pick just one of these new clusters and create a new hotel. And what you'll find is on round 2, and I promise you this, I've done it more than 100 times, on round 2, people come up with more interesting, more unique hotels that are often less expensive and easier to create. I've heard of hotels where we recreate different cultures, and maybe I can't bring my whole family to Africa, but I could have an experience in a hotel with food and culture and dress and learn a little bit more about what it's actually like. I've heard all sorts of unique examples that actually show you how you could spend less and achieve more. But here's what actually happened there. when you contain the box and you focus on a cluster, not only were the new ideas more focused, maybe more interesting, but we also started with a cluster that we knew was important to our end consumers. We knew it was based on a series of ideas, and therefore it's more likely to actually succeed. The workshop to repeat this with your own brand, repeating these steps back, would be hunt for ideas in your market, hunt adjacent markets, hunt for what your target demographic likes, group into meaningful clusters, then throw those clusters away and recluster again and again and again before you find some that are very meaningful. And then there's step 7, cliffhanger. What's step 7? Well, you got to stay tuned, because step 7 is where we ante it up a little bit.